Hello, everyone. My name is Tim, and welcome to the launch of Taking Off the Shades, the podcast. I'm joined here by my co-host and the real star of the show, Elisa, my guide dog. Clearly, I'm visually impaired, and this has truly been a long time coming for me. And as you can maybe tell by my voice, this has really taken a toll on me, especially the past few days, getting this all together, recording, editing. So now I've come down with something. But besides the point, I lost my vision about 13 years ago, and actually I just realized not too long ago that I've now been visually impaired longer than I had my sight, so that's obviously crazy to me. But, you know, podcasting is really, and audio especially, is something that I leaned on heavily after I lost my vision. I didn't watch as much TV, wasn't watching as much YouTube. It was really audio that I leaned on, and it became an important part of my life and a really important medium. I then went and did my undergrad in journalism because I thought that was what I was going to do, but, you know, life changes. And it just so happened that this year I picked up and moved here to the UK, to London, to do one of the world's first MAs in podcasting at City University of London. So now, for the past year, this has truly been in development, this idea, which I've had for a long time, but this is now accelerated since I moved here to City. And with the help of a laundry list of people from the tech team to friends, family, teachers, staff, and people in the industry, Taking Off the Shades is now here, and it's on all your podcasting platforms, including on YouTube as a video version. So, Taking Off the Shades, it's about turning inspiration porn on its head. It's about not making people with disabilities or people who have gone through real challenges, not making them inspiration for able-bodied people or really for anyone at all. While they might have inspiration stories, there are things to learn from their stories, and it's good to be curious and have genuine conversations with these people. And, you know, I'm not the most perfect interviewer in the world, but I feel like the life perspectives I've had really kind of make me at least a little bit more, maybe not knowledgeable, but I can have a genuine conversation with them, having the background that I have. So it's about having real conversations with real people who have faced real challenges. And that's really all it is. It's about giving a voice to stories that may not be heard in the mainstream or demeaned if done so. So I want to be able to have and give these people a platform and, you know, grow Taking Off the Shades. With all that being said, on today's first episode, I have Sofia Gonzalez. Sofia is someone that Elisa and I met while I was over here in London. Sofia is a Swiss Paralympic amputee athlete. She competes in the 100-meter sprint and the long jump, and she's truly got a fascinating story that we learned so much about through the course of our conversation, and she shared so many great insights about what it's like dealing with her type of disability, losing her leg early on in life, how she's now learned to run at a very late age, and not only that, but become great at it, and is now getting ready for Paris 2024's Paralympics. So, now, with all that being said, it's time to officially launch Taking Off the Shades, the podcast. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you follow me along on this journey as I get this podcast rolling. We're here in London. We're both here at London, at City University of London together. Just so happened to cross paths here through Eve, through stories they've done about us. And they did a story about you, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, so basically I came to London 3 years ago. This is my last year. I'm doing a bachelor in media communication sociology. And yeah, it's 2 years ago, they did a story about me about how I manage uni and sports and about also my story. So that was really interesting and I really loved to do that.
Yeah, and so they published a story about 2 years ago now, and you say about your story. Can you kind of walk us through your story and what that means to people, because it's a big deal?
Of course. So I was born with deformation of my right leg, and I was actually born in London. And after that, we went to Switzerland because we tried to save my leg. But after 3 years, they couldn't save my leg. So at 3 years old, they amputated my right leg. And after that, I just started wearing a prosthetic leg. And since then, I can do everything. And I lived a normal life, and I started athletics in 2015, I think, yeah.
Now, do you remember anything before your operation or during the operation, post-operation, anything around that?
Not really. I have some memories, but they're more positive than negative. I think my parents are those who really had the negative side of it, who really were impacted by it and really more suffered from it, because of course seeing your child in pain or with medical issues, it's not the best thing. But I honestly, for me, it's like I've almost was born with a prosthetic leg, so I'm really used to it. For me, it's my whole life, and it's what I know best.
Sure, and I think you used the word normal. Normal's kind of a complicated word when it comes to talking about things with disabilities. How have you kind of embraced or struggled with the word normal in school life, growing up, childhood, to where you are now?
Of course, I mean, for me, before sports, I felt really different. I'm still different, which I think it's beautiful today, but I didn't really accept it at that time. And for me, I had a really hard time accepting it, and I think sport is what really gave me that confidence and gave me that, okay, I can do it, okay, I believe in myself. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're all different in a kind of way. Not because we have a disability, we're less than someone else, and we can do anything. I mean, you, me, anyone else, and you just have to believe it and believe in yourself.
Did you have any trouble, with the idea of fitting in, even if that was a concern, but kind of with kids in your school, were you worried that they might judge you? Were you worried that you were judging yourself?
Of course. I mean, when I was younger, before the age of 16, I had a really hard time. I had a lot of bullying, a lot of mean words. So I think that really also shook my confidence and really gave me that sense I don't belong, or also the sense of I want to belong but fit in a box where I want to be normal, as you say that word, or be like anyone else and fit into society. Because I think at that age, those teenage years, you want to be all the same. You want to look all the same. You want to not be different. And so that was really hard to accept at some point. But I grew out of it. And after realizing that's not what makes me beautiful and also what makes me different in a kind of way. I always say, my difference is what brings me here today to be talking to you, but also gives me that strength and power. And that's also what's been able to bring me to a big stage like the Paralympics and be a Paralympic athlete today.
Yeah, so you kind of, you touched on the Paralympics, and that's kind of been a big part of your story, competing for the Swiss national team and going to the Paralympics in 2020, which ended up being in 2021.
Exactly.
Talk about kind of the build up to that and getting to that point.
Yeah, so basically I started athletics when I was 16, and I was qualified for the European Championships in 2018 in Berlin. And I think that was a really important moment for me because that's when I realized, oh, wow, I can do this. Oh, wow, I'm good. Or, oh, wow, the Swiss team actually said to me those words, oh, you have potential. And when people believe in yourself, you're going to believe in yourself because you have that people that count on you, people that believe in you. For me, it was always been my parents and my family with my little sister have always been my number one fans. I always say that they're also my first sponsors. That's what I always say because thanks to them, I had the ability to run because I discovered that prosthetic leg that's a sports blade, and I discovered that in 2015, and they paid half of it with another association, so that was a big risk and a big cost for them, so I'm eternally grateful for them. And they're my first sponsor. They still help me nowadays, so
So forgive the ignorance because I kind of come more from the blind visually impaired world, but as far as finding this prosthetic to going to the blade, how did that come about?
Yeah, it's quite different. So basically you have a walking leg that's like an everyday leg to do all kinds of things. And then the sport blade is a different kind of leg because it has no mechanic in it. My everyday leg is electronic, so I have to charge it every day. And my mechanical leg it's like a C, so it's a blade and it's made out of carbon. So it's really light and it's really fast and has a lot of power to it. I think it's also really important to say that it's really a different feeling as well when I wear it.
Really?
I mean, no one can really try it on because, you know, you have to amputate your leg, which is not possible. So I always say, like, the feeling that I have with the prosthetic leg is it feels like a trampoline. So if you've ever been on a trampoline jumping, that's the feeling I have basically when I run with my blade. And when I also walk, it's just normal walking like you or anyone else with two legs.
You have to charge the prosthetic leg
Yes.
every day?
Yeah.
Is that overnight? Is that
Overnight, because basically my leg is one of the new generations. It's an electronic leg who is made by Autobock. It's also the same brand that makes my blade. I'm actually sponsored by them now because they help me to improve them as well. It's a German brand, and they do these electronic knees because I'm amputated above the knee, so I need a knee to walk. And it's not like, it doesn't walk for me because people usually think, oh, it's like a robot or like it walks itself. No, I still need to activate it, and like without my muscles in my body and like my upper body strength, I can't, like, it can't like walk by itself, you know. But it's more about like the security of it. So it has like kind of a security that I don't fall, like, you know, behind. Or it also helps me for stairs, for example. That's really important. And it makes basically the movement more fluid and more aesthetically pleasing, which is also something really important. So I walk beautifully, if we can say that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so turning it on is what allows it to give it power and function.
Exactly. Yeah.
So without turning it on, is it just
Dead. Yeah, basically it's like a stiff leg if I don't charge it, which happened to me once on vacation, and I can tell you this is not fun. So yeah, I have to charge it every night, and so it helps me to run. But when I go like camping or somewhere there's no like charger, I have sometimes a power bank that can also work.
really?
So it's basically like your phone.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's also more expensive. Like my leg that I'm wearing right now, it's 40,000 K, and the running blade is 15,000. So that also is the technology behind it, and also why it's electronic.
So you said when you found the blade,
Yeah.
that's when you were able to run and
Yeah.
compete. Were you not running before that point?
Exactly. So for me, it was a big emotional event and something that I really didn't experience before, because with my everyday leg, it's not really able to do that movement of running. So it's more for walking and more for the everyday chores and the everyday life. But that movement of running is really specific, you know. I mean, a normal leg has those muscles and tendons that really give that elasticity and really that rebound kind of. That's why I say trampoline, because that blade kind of mimics that movement. And so I've done a lot of sports when I was younger. My parents really were the one who motivated me, who always said you can do anything you want, any sport. They didn't put any limits to what I wanted to do, which I think is kind of really important and what actually makes me who I am today. And then at 15, 16, I discovered that blade. And then for me, it was really a moment of freedom where I discovered, oh, wow, I can run. Oh, wow, this feeling is amazing. And that feeling of freedom, adrenaline, who led me to the 100-meter sprint, basically.
Sure. So it all fast-tracked after that.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to have that support system, whether it's your parents, whoever, kind of telling you, you can do X, Y, and Z as long as you put yourself to it. And that's great that you had that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I always tell them, like, they're my biggest supporter. They're my biggest motivation.
Apparently your sponsors, too.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays they still help me. And, like, my father has been my manager since I started. He helps me also sometimes when I need support for competition. He comes. I mean, they wanted to come to Tokyo, but unfortunately, because of COVID, there were no spectators there. I hope maybe Paris, that would be something. But they came to my first competition. They come as often as they can. They came to my first big championships in Berlin. But yeah, I mean, they're always there. And I think that's really important, a support system emotionally that is there for you, because without them, I wouldn't be here today. I mean, physically speaking as well.
Sure.
And also, I think for the running career that they helped me built, and that's because of them that I discovered that running blade, because of an event by Otto Bock in Switzerland.
Yes. Talk to me about this event. How in the world
Yeah.
you discovered the blade leg? Like, is that a conference you go to? How do you?
Basically, it's a bit hard to explain. I hope I explain myself, but it's basically like an event that they do all over the world. They're trying to do by Otto Bock, that German brand that does prosthetic legs, different kind of also wheelchairs and stuff like that, or orthetics as well. They do that. And what they do is basically they rent a prosthetic blade for amputated people to try out during a weekend. We get all together, the technicians also from Otto Bock, and then there is a famous athlete from Germany who comes and helps us try the blade. And yeah, that's how I discovered it. It's actually my parents who discovered that event, and they brought me there. And I mean, without that, I wouldn't be here today.
So it's a rent process at first. You're not outright buying this leg necessarily.
Yeah, after that event, of course, I wanted one. But how do you put out 15,000 francs like that? It's a lot of money. So what we did is at first during a year, kind of, I don't remember exactly, but it was a year, I still joined an athletics club where I trained with an able-bodied group. And I did a lot of different kind of sport in athletics, because there is like javelin throw, shot put, there is also long jump. And I did that before because I couldn't run. I didn't have the blade yet. But we rented it over like a weekend or over a week because it was like less costly. And then I could run. Sometimes it was really frustrating because, of course, like I wanted to run with the group. I wanted to be with them and be able also to, push myself. And after that, I tried to, of course, get the funds with an association who paid half of it, and my parents who paid half of it. So that's why I say they're my first sponsors.
I think for a lot of people, the idea of having to rent a prosthetic leg or a blade leg is completely foreign to them. It was something that you had to do to. So tell me, when you first tried the leg for the very first time and were able to run, what was that like?
I cried.
Really?
That was really emotional, because for me it was really, it's basically something I've never experienced before. Because when you basically were born, it's the first thing you do. You walk, you run. And for me, I've never experienced that. So you have to imagine, for 16 years, I've never run. So for me, it was almost, I had to learn how to run. And that's what I did. And even today, it's what I'm trying to do, learning how to run fast, learning how to be better, and how to get my technical running the best I can. And it was really emotional, even for my parents. To see that I can run, to see that almost anything is possible, that even though with a disability you can do high performance sport, that you can run, that you can be a high successful athlete, that you can go to the Paralympics. That was also a really emotional moment for my parents.
I imagine so.
And for me.
Of course.
Yeah.
So then how long from that point, when you started moving and running with the blade leg, did you start to think, I can run, and I can run fast, and I could compete? When did that start happening for you?
I think it was in 2018 when I was selected by Switzerland, because you have to be selected, and they also had that trust in me, and they were like, oh, we trust in you, we believe in you, basically, for the European Championships, where I arrived 4th in the 100-meter sprint. So that was like, oh, I'm one place behind a medal. So I was like, oh, I can run fast. And they also told me oh, you have potential. So
you're telling me at no point before Euros did you think you could run fast?
I don't think so, no. I think it's because also I was on and off, because I was doing shot put and then doing sprinting. So for me, I was running fast, but I didn't think I could run as fast as I run at the European Championships,
Sure. And so was it a call that you, how does the Swiss Federation let you know that you're going to be going to the Paralympic Games?
Basically, they call you.
They call you on the phone?
It's on the phone. It's the national coach who calls you and gives you the news. And it's funny because I have a video on my phone about that moment, that it's really emotional. I started crying, and my parents, I was at home, they were there. And it's the national coach who calls you. The day they select people. The selection is really tough sometimes, because there's not only yourself that is involved. I mean, there's factors that you can't control because there's also money involved. There is also the different places. You know, there is like places by country. Switzerland has less places than the US, for example, because we're a smaller country, which is totally okay. But then those places is really hard to get. And so the national coach called me and then he told me, yeah, congratulations. I mean, in Swiss German, because of course in Switzerland we speak German and Swiss German. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then my parents hugged me and then I was crying. And that video is kind of funny. I have to find it. I can't show it to you now because it's kind of back there, and I'm a media student, so I have a lot of photos. But yeah, I think it's a funny memory to have.
And so you get that call. Do you start dialing in at that point? You're like, okay, I'm going to Tokyo. I gotta start preparing.
No, yes, but I think I didn't realize until we boarded that plane to go to Japan, because we did basically 3 weeks in Japan. We did a pre-camp to acclimate for also like the weather, because it was really like hot there, and also really a lot of humidity, and also the jet lag was, oh my god, I got hit so hard by the jet lag, and it was my first time in Asia and in Japan, so that was crazy as well. So we went 1 week pre-camp in Oita, Japan, and then we went 2 weeks in Tokyo. And yeah, until that plane, I think I didn't realize really what was happening, because of COVID, I was like, imagine I have COVID before I board the plane. That means that like I'm not gonna go. That means that like the Paralympics are totally canceled for me, and that's something you couldn't control. So it was really hard. We had to do also 3 tests before we boarded that plane. Every day then in Tokyo and in Oita, we had to get tested. So even if like the day before the competition you got a positive test, you were like gonna miss the competition. They wouldn't allow you on that track. So I think that was the biggest thing that I was scared of.
So athletes were living in fear that the Paralympics would just get canceled at any point.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows. I mean, COVID and 2021, 2020, it was impacted by it, and a lot of events, university work, I mean, life was impacted. So the big events was also something that was really impacted by that, and I think a lot of athletes weren't sure as well about like going. Also, that was a big question, you know. So yeah, I think for me it was more about something that I couldn't control, and something that I would miss my first Paralympics also. That was really something I was scared that I got selected and got the opportunity, and then it would have been robbed for me. I was really scared, so I was really being really careful. Like the week when they announced, I was like, oh, I'm not going to see any of my friends, you know, because like you could have COVID from anyone. I was really careful going to training and stuff like that. So taking those measures to be really prepared for that event, as you said, like I was aware, I was being prepared. I was doing also a lot of interviews, a lot of training, but I think I didn't realize until I was on that plane that I was going to the Paralympics.
So the Paralympics is a big deal, and overall, how do you feel like you kind of did? Because you remind me, you're a 100-meter sprinter and a long jumper, so that's 2 different competitions to prepare for. How do you feel like what'd you take away from those Paralympic Games? For me,
those Paralympic Games were amazing. I mean, emotionally, I couldn't have wished for better, because I was going for the 100-meter sprint and the long jump, and I qualified for the 2 finals. And actually on this, if you look at the statistics and at the times, I was one of the last ones. So I shouldn't have been in the final, which is kind of funny because I've beaten some of my other athletes, and there were actually some of my friends as well, because you get really close with your athletes that compete with you in your category. And I was shocked myself. I shocked the team as well. I shocked the other athletes as well that were maybe a bit mad at me, but yeah. And then I got 2 PBs as well in the 100-meter and long jump, and won 2 Paralympic diplomas in the finals, which I'm really proud of.
That's a great accomplishment. And so coming off of that, you kind of transition, and reading about you online, you've done some motivational speaking. You're now here doing your bachelor's. Talk to me, how did motivational speaking come to pass?
Yeah, it's actually a funny story. I started motivational speaking actually quite early when I started doing athletics, because one of the an electrical company basically in Switzerland contacted me per email saying, hey, we're doing this event because usually companies do this like end of the year event to thank their people that work for them, and we would like to invite you. Usually companies do that, but they invite like comedians or I don't know, like they do a big event with like a singer or stuff, but they invited me. So I was like, oh, okay, why not? I didn't even know it was paid. They even like gave me flowers. They invited me for dinner, which I found crazy. I also thought like, oh, at that point I was like, oh, this could earn me money. Like this could be a job also. That was crazy for me at that point. Like I could have never imagined, oh, talking about my story or talking about myself would have been something that people are interested also in. And then I did it for an hour and I really liked it. And my dad came with me because, of course, I was like underage. And he like helped me do also a PowerPoint to prepare myself for it. I mean, I love PowerPoint since I was
Can't
really
say I
young.
agree, but
Yeah, since I was really young. Because I'm also like a media student. I really love to be creative. And my dad was like, yeah, you have to be prepared and like don't be unprepared to that event. Like it's really important. It could be like really good for your future. And thank God he did that. And then at the end he was like, oh, you're actually really good. Maybe this could be something we could be doing. And yeah, since then I've been doing that. I mean, it's not like every month or so. It depends on the events. It depends also like if I'm contacted or not, if there's like a special company or a special event that wants me to talk about my story. And I'm still doing it. I mean, I've done some like recently before December, and I'm gonna do it some this year as well. And I really like it. I really enjoy it. I mean, it's something I'm really passionate about, for sure.
So going and speaking to a room full of people at an electrical company, what's your message to them?
I mean, I talk about my story mostly and also about sports because I think sports is something that could motivate people to be better, not only physically, but also mentally. I mean, for me, sports has also helped me. I mean, we're at uni for exams. I always love to do a little bit of sport, any kind of, it could be anything. Like, there's so many different sports that can help you, and I think I feel better after it. I can concentrate better. So for them, it was also to be like, oh, do like a physical activity with your work can be really beneficial, and also to tell them that nothing is impossible and that we're all different. And in a way, like my difference is maybe bigger than yours, but that doesn't mean that I'm less than you because we're all human beings. So that was a really big, I think, that I told them, and like trying to motivate them to do better and be better.
You know, you've said in other interviews, your kind of tagline is "My difference is my attitude."
Yeah.
Where'd that come from? How'd you kind of come up with that?
Yeah, basically that's a really important memo for me. I mean, it's kind of what defines me, and my difference is my attitude comes from when I started building my brand. It was with people that helped me do my website and do my logo and do all of my image and my social media, my YouTube channel and stuff, and with my dad and my mom as well. I think it's really powerful because it says that my difference is basically my strength and is what brings me here today. Brings me also to Tokyo. It brings me to the big events. I mean, I've met so many wonderful people that in this world, in the Paralympic world, in the sport world. And I think what makes me different is what before maybe I've hidden and now I show it more.
Sure. So kind of going back for a second, did you find it hard at any point to kind of embrace that? Because obviously that's a really empowering mindset to take. And it takes, no matter what your disability is, I come from the blind and visually impaired world. It takes everyone a different amount of time to kind of get to that state of being comfortable with your disability, embracing it. How long do you think it took you to kind of get to that point?
I mean, for me, the biggest moment was when I started sports, like athletics, not sports in general, because I've done a lot of sports before, like horse riding, tennis, of course, skiing. I mean, I'm from Switzerland, dancing. I have a lot of like shows from that, like taped and stuff. But for me, athletics was a big moment because I couldn't hide my disability anymore. And that's what really like gave me the strength to be myself and show it to the world, basically. So I would say at 16, basically, when I started doing athletics was really what gave me the confidence in myself. And also what I feel like is when people believe in you, you're going to believe in yourself.
Sure. So you talk about kind of like hiding it versus not hiding it. What is it like for you? Kind of, I'm very ignorant to the world of having, a prosthetic leg. Is hiding it something you can do, have done? Because I did something called passing in the blind world for a long time where I had enough vision to walk around without a guide dog or a cane and just wanted to fit in and be quote unquote normal. And, you struggle with that for a long time, and only about 5-6 years ago till I really embrace, where I am and what I deal with, and kind of like you say, difference is your attitude. Did you struggle with being normal and trying to fit in like everyone else and hide it, or were you fully embraced with it?
Of course, no. I had trouble, accepting it, and I was hiding it. I still sometimes hide it today because you sometimes just don't want to talk about it or just don't want to be asked questions. I love that people come up to me and ask questions. I rather people ask me questions than stare at me or point with something. But sometimes you just want to be in peace, you know what I mean? And sometimes you just don't want to be bothered, or you just want to feel normal, as you quoted. But I think sports is what really helped me get out of my shell. And as I said before, it was really hard for me to accept it because in society, usually you're not really accepted with a disability. It's getting better there. I think also social media helps. The media representation really something that I'm also really passionate and I want to really continue fighting for. But before, when I was 12, 15, 16, it wasn't like that as it was today. Today it's way more spoken about. It's way more open. People are also aware. That's something also that I'm trying to do with motivational speeches is I go to schools as well. That's something I'm really proud of, and I really try to go to as many schools in Switzerland as possible to really, I think, show that a disability is not something that's that you should hide. It's something that's negative, that everyone is different in a kind of way, that you're blonde, that you have glasses, that you're brunette, height, whatever. That's something I think it's really hard and really something I'm fighting for.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to pull back the curtain for a second.
Yeah.
We just ran, you came here with a couple of your classmates, and they said they had no idea that you compete in the Paralympics.
Yeah.
And no idea that, you had a prosthetic leg for such a long time and you've known them for a while. And now they know, and, they think it's great, obviously. But what's that process like? Do you find yourself?
Yeah, it's hard. It depends the situation, depends how you talk about it. I'm not the kind of person who would brag about it as well. I think for me, I'm really shy about also what I do. It's something also I will tell only if I'm comfortable with the person. It's something I'm really also protective of. So if the person doesn't react well, that's mostly what I'm scared of. But for me, it was also, I think, the 3 years of uni was really hard as well as an international student because I had no friends. So you have to build that relationship. You have to build new friendships. And at the beginning, it was hard because the first year we had a lot of online things, so we couldn't really meet and we didn't really know each other. And it was more the second year. And then you have to build that friendship, that comfortableness. And then I decided telling them because I was comfortable, and also the conversation came up because I think for me it's something it depends on the situation, depends how it's brought up. It depends also if we talk about it, then of course I'm not gonna hide it. I'm proud of it. I'm never gonna hide it behind curtains, but I need to be comfortable. And for me, it's always learning how to approach it, how to tell a person, and yeah.
So again, forgive me for not fully knowing. So are you able to hide a prosthetic leg? Is that something you can do easily? Or?
Yeah, because for me, you can't really see it because I have pants. In London it's cold, if you didn't know.
Sure.
But in the summer, you can't really hide it. I wear skirts or shorts or dresses. Then I think you can see it more. But if you wear pants, which I do mostly because, it's cold, I'm not going to wear just shorts, then you can't really notice. And also I'm young, so that can be misinterpreted. And that happened to me a lot on public transport because then I don't look disabled, and then people I don't know, think that I'm rude or that I'm sitting in a accessible seat and they're oh, you should stand up, or they tell me off. So that's also something maybe with my classmates or people I just know or I just get to know is that you can't really tell. So I'm not going to be the first to be like, hey, by the way. So I'm more the person to wait that either they notice or a conversation will come up or I'll tell them about a competition or stuff like that.
Sure. And so you're here now, and you kind of talk about accessibility in London.
Yeah.
What made you come to London and decide to do your bachelor's degree here?
Yeah, I mean, London for me has always been my city of heart because I was born here. And of course, like after high school, I wanted to go to university, but I didn't know really where. And I knew I wanted to do media and communication studies and a lot of things that I've been doing actually before, because of course when you're an athlete, you have to have that social media presence. You have to I have experience in that because I've built my brand, I've built my image, I have a website, I've done a lot of interviews on different medias, TV, radio, podcasts like this. So I was like, oh, where can I do that? And I think London was one of the best options. It's not that far also from Switzerland, I think.
Yeah, for someone that's from America,
Yeah.
kind of explain how close it is for you to go, because where in Switzerland are you?
I'm from Geneva, like that area, like the French part.
And how long does it take you to, I assume, fly home?
I fly home and it's usually 1 hour, 32 hours plane. Yeah, sorry.
How often do you get to go home?
It depends. I don't go home that often, but like for Christmas or when we have like breaks. And first year I went home quite a lot because we had a lot of online classes, but also when I have like motivational speeches, I go back, or an event or some specific training, then I'll go back probably.
And how have you found your time kind of managing, school, athletics, motivational all this stuff while you're here in London? It's a lot to balance.
Honestly, it's hard. Honestly, this last year also has been really hard for me, emotionally and physically, but mainly emotionally. And I mean, if you're just like an international student, first of all, it's hard. And then if you're new in a city, it's hard as well. And then if you have sports, and then if you have something that requires time also and a lot of work, because of course I have to like respond to different emails or motivational speeches that I want to go to, or events that require my presence, then yeah, it's a lot of balance. But I'm a planner. I really love to plan, and I think that helps a lot. Also, what really helped me is that in high school, and when I started in 2016, I was still in school. So that also helped me already be in that process of school and sport, which I already balanced before. And here at uni, I still do it. And it's not something new that I discovered coming to London. So I'm kind of used to it, and it works for me. So yeah.
What are the accessibility kind of concerns that you have to take into account when it comes to living somewhere? What are your everyday things that are in your head when it comes to getting around with your disability?
Like challenges. I don't know. I like that word, challenges.
Sure.
Yeah. Because for me, it's like a challenge, but, we can like overcome a challenge.
Sure.
So for me, I like that word. And for me in London, I think mainly it's like the floor, the path, because sometimes it's like not leveled, which is kind of annoying sometimes. And the stairs mainly, or the accessibility to like the tube or the trains.
They don't all have escalators or elevators or
Yeah,
lifts.
exactly. So that sometimes can be hard. I mean, for me, or even for you or anyone else with a disability, or even for people that have children with like, the stroller or stuff like that, or people with like luggages. I mean, me at the beginning, I remember I came with like 3 suitcases, and already there without a disability, it's hard. So I can't imagine with like a disability, it's 10 times a bit harder. But yeah, you overcome those challenges. I mean, I don't know about you, but like I have my favorite spots. I know where I can be more accessible, which tube I can take. I mean, the Elizabeth line is really good, for example. In Switzerland, which is kind of different, is I have a car, so I know like my handicap spots for parking that are special. And I mean, you're used to it. I mean, you get to know where to park, where are the accessible things for us.
So you drive back in Switzerland. What's that like for someone with a prosthetic leg? Is that any different?
A bit. So basically, we drive on the left.
The right side,
Yep.
correct.
So on the left, and then here they drive on the right in the UK. And basically we drive with the right leg, but I'm amputated on the right leg, but some people can be amputated on the left leg, so they can just drive normally. But for me, I just have to put an extra pedal on the left for accelerated, and I also can only drive automatic cars, and so that's an easy fix. A mechanic can go and fix it for you, and it's a bit of a cost, but the insurance pays for it.
And so is there an approval process for that? How long does that take?
No, I mean, you have to, there's a law in Switzerland, you have to go to like Office des Automobiles, it's in French, sorry, but it's like basically where you go and like they check all the cars in Switzerland, or like also like the buses or the big company cars where they have to have a certain level of security, and so you have to go there. It's quite of a long process, I'm not gonna lie. It took like 1 year to get the car like fixed for that. But then when you have it, it's really easy. It's automatic, and you just have to push a button. And I like it because I can drive it, but also other people can drive it. So it's not just like that car is fixated for me, and only I can drive it, because that could be a bit like a waste of cars, you know?
Sure.
So my family can drive it, my friends, and that's really good.
So you're able to drive in Switzerland. What's the rest of the accessibility nature like in Switzerland for you? For anyone with disabilities, really.
No, I'm not going to lie. It's not the best. I thought like Switzerland was better in the ranking, but it's not better than London. I mean, London is a bigger city, and of course it's the UK. Like Switzerland is a smaller country, but I've talked about this actually like in a meeting with some politicians from Switzerland to try to make it better, but Switzerland is not the best. It has a lot of like level 4. That's a bit better. But sometimes also there's not always like accessible bus or accessible train stations. The lifts can be broken as well. I mean, at uni as well. That also, we can talk about accessibility at uni. That's also something that I think you and me have to take in consideration. It's really important for us. But yeah, I mean, London is getting there. I think Switzerland, I hope, will get there. But I think any city needs to get there, because it's really important for people like with disabilities.
So you kind of glossed over it, but you met with politicians in Switzerland to talk about accessibility. What's that like? Yeah,
I mean, it was really important for me because it's something I'm really passionate about, and really like something that I live. So I think I know what I'm talking about. And it's really hard to make changes in Switzerland because the politicians, it's hard to make change what they know or they are mind. You can apply for a law, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of money, and now I don't have really the time. Maybe in the future, I hope. But I think for me also what's important is that if you're looking at the things that they're building now in any city in London or in Switzerland, they should take that in consideration, because I feel like it's going to impact not only people with disabilities like us, but also people with children, people with suitcases, people who maybe break their legs sometime. In Switzerland, we have a lot of, ski accidents. So if they have crutches, it needs to be accessible for anyone. And also that that level of independence, I think, is really important for us, because if it's accessible, we can be independent.
Absolutely. And kind of like you say, and I think we can agree on the fact that change, unfortunately, takes time.
Yeah, a lot.
It takes a lot of time, and kind of people are, whether, harshly or not, are ignorant to what other people have to deal with.
Yeah.
And you know that, and I know that, for different reasons. So going back to what you kind of have to take into account, what's it like, using the bus here? Or do you have to consider like the ground when you're walking, or because London has a lot of cobblestone and things like that. What's that like here? I
mean, obviously, like for me, the cobblestone or the floor, I can walk on it, so I can't imagine the wheelchairs that what they have to go through. But it's still hard for me that sometimes people like don't realize, or even my friends, they're like, "Oh, but you can walk." Yeah, but I have to like put more effort or more energy. I can't really stand a long time because it kind of like starts to hurt also. So those factors have to be considered sometimes, but I'm really good at hiding it. I'm always the one who is down for anything. That's like my personality. So sometimes I'll push too hard sometimes. But Yeah, it depends. I mean, it depends on the day, depends on the situation. Rain, also, I don't know if you struggle with that, but sometimes I can really like slip with the rain. Yeah, I have a lot of also like other medical issues or a lot of back pain, so I have to go to the physio. That also like helps me with that back pain, you know, because of walking sometimes.
Does it become, is that stem from having to deal with, you know, walking with the prosthetic leg, or, you know?
Yeah, it's the imbalance of it, and it's also. I mean, I've always had to have physio since I've was born, but also because the imbalance of the prosthetic leg, and also because I need more energy to walk. So I need to have really good muscle strength in my upper body and my back to be able to activate basically my prosthetic leg and to walk beautifully, naturally, basically. And yeah, that takes a lot of energy and effort.
I can imagine. What about the public transit here? I mean, I have my own difficulties with the bus here.
Of course,
having
yeah,
a guide
I
dog. And you kind of talked about passing, and which I did for a long time, and not necessarily making a fuss or telling people. Do you find? I mean, even sitting in the accessible seat on a bus, do you find the same sort of challenges?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard. I think it's because, I mean, I get judged a lot because I look young, you know, and you can't really see my disability. So sometimes I sit, and then there's like older people that come in, and of course, like usually you let them sit, but then like you have to tell them, or they tell you off, and then I show my prosthetic leg, and then they just leave. So that's kind of my response usually. I get mad sometimes, but I mean, not mad, but just like it's more annoying because like you have to kind of prove it, you know what I mean? And I mean, of course I rather prove it because there's a lot of people also who lie and who like fake things. That also happens a lot, and I think it's because of that we have to prove it a lot, I think.
Do you find it tiresome, you know, not to put it into a negative light, but do you find it tiresome to having to prove yourself, or having to fight, having to do this on a daily basis?
Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I just, when I have a good day or it doesn't hurt, I'll just let the older person sit. I'm like, okay. And also I'm young, so I'm like, oh, I can stand, it's fine. But sometimes it's hard because sometimes it hurts. So, or I have a bad day or whatever, and then I have to sit. And then those days, I think I get more mad or it gets more tiring. But for me, it's also like walking fast. Sometimes it's hard because in London, everyone walks fast, which I find kind of funny because in Switzerland, it's all slow and it's all like calm, you know? And then sometimes people get mad at me. They're like, oh, move. And then I just say sorry because I don't want to like get into a fight or whatever. But yeah.
I think that's something people don't necessarily realize about disabilities is it's a constant
fight.
It's a constant fight, but also having to pick your battles, right?
Yeah.
I find that all the time, having to pick, all right, do I want to fight this fight today, or do I want to fight this fight right now? Is this fight worth it? Is this fight not?
Is this fight worth it? That's a good, you know.
And I don't think people necessarily realize that if they're able-bodied and they don't have to realize, do I need to fight for an accessible seat today? Do I need to fight, you know, getting fair access today? Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I find it tiresome, and I've only had a guide dog for 6 years and been visually impaired for 12. You've been doing this for a while now.
22 years.
And so I can imagine, how do you kind of stay level through it all?
I don't know. I think like a lot of patience. A lot of patience, my family. Sometimes I think like, oh, there's worse. I think a lot. I'm lucky where I am. I'm grateful also a lot for the opportunities I have. I can live. I have a good health. I come to uni. I'm able to study, you know, that kind of thing. I'm able to do my sport. So that kind of thing. It's also sometimes you just like also want to feel normal. That's why sometimes I think I don't pick my battles, because you just want to be like, oh, okay, it's fine. Like whatever. Like I don't want to like explain my disability, or also like I don't want to get into detail because I feel like they don't have to know everything about me or my life, you know? And the thing is also sometimes like, I'm like, we should be more kind to ourselves and kind to other people, because you don't know what the other person is living or what they're living right now or what they have lived. So I think that's really important, to be kind and just to be respectful as well.
Are you conscious of, you know, the term kind of disability porn, or being identified by your disability, and you don't want to be necessarily the person that is oh, you're the girl with the prosthetic leg.
Of course.
You want to embrace it, and like you say, you can be motivational about it and embrace it and be comfortable with it, and get be really confident about it. But also, you don't want to necessarily. At least I find this internal battle of, do I want to fully be the blind guy all the time, or you just want to be Tim? So do you find it a battle to just? How do you balance that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine line. Don't get me wrong. I'm really proud of who I am. I'm really proud of my disability today, which wasn't like that before when I was younger. But sometimes it's true. It's hard to like not be fit into that box of, oh, she's the girl with the disability. You just want to be Sofia. You just want to be myself. I'm also a person. I'm also a human being. And that's also why I'm more shy about telling people that I have a disability or what I do in my sports, because I don't want them to think, oh, that's only her, I want them to meet me, myself, Sofia first, the person. And then I have other stuff. I always say it's like kind of my double life. I have my uni life where I'm Sofia, and I have my sports life where I'm Sofia, the athlete, the Paralympic athlete. And so that's how I balance it. I think it's like a lot of, you have to balance where you want to put your time and effort, your energy as well. And just live your life.
It's pretty badass that you could say your other half is the Paralympic athlete, not just
Thank you.
athlete. So what's the training like now? You're living in London. You're living in a different place, doing your bachelor's degree. What is it? What's the day in the life of Sofia, the Paralympic athlete?
It's kind of hard. Sometimes it's like it's really different. It depends the week. It depends the day. It depends what's going on. If I have exams, I have competitions. But usually I train 6 times a week. It can vary, sometimes less, sometimes if I have an injury, or sometimes like if I'm sick or stuff. But I try to balance uni and sports as much as I can. And train. And then I train with the national coach here from the team Paralympic GB. And he's actually Swiss, so that really helps me. And there is like also other athletes that it's really nice to train with them as well, with prosthetic legs, and some are able-bodied as well. So it's a really good environment.
What's it like training for a 100-meter sprint? Because that's, a 30-second race or less, hopefully, less for most people, I suppose, in your competition when you're striving that high. What's it like training for such a short, amount of time that you're actually competing in?
No, of course. I mean, it's completely different, the 100 meters sprint and long jump, because those are my 2 sports. So 100 meter sprint, I would say, is more technical in the sense of you have to really do a lot of cardio. You have to do a lot of short sprints. You have to do a lot of start blocks as well. That's where the start goes with to not lose a lot of time. And like for long jump, it's also technical, but way more in little finesses of the technical things that we learn in the training. I mean, I'm still learning nowadays. I've been having a lot of training since I started, but I'm still learning every day. I still want to improve every day. I still want to get to the highest point I can in my sporting career, but I'm not there yet. I'm trying to get there. I'm still young, and that's why I'm also excited for what's to come, the next World Championships, the next European Championships, and the next Paralympics, maybe in LA in 2028. I mean, I'm not finished, so it's really different, and it's a balance to do a lot of long runs, short runs, jumping as well, and then some fitness as well, cardio and weights.
So when you're getting ready for the event, you're at the Paralympics. There's a stadium full of people, hopefully.
Next year, this year. Sorry.
Hopefully, yes. But Paris is coming up fast. You're 30 minutes before an event. What's your routine? What's your method? Do you have pre-game ritual, if you will? Do you have a song you're going to? What's your
It's
what's
my
your thing?
secret. I'm not gonna. No, kidding. I'm gonna tell you. No. So basically, we always go 2 hours before the competition because we do a warm up with the coach, and there's other athletes. There's a warm up track, and then we go there. I usually drink a lot of water. I put on my competition kit as well because I always bring it with me, so I don't like sweat in it, or I don't have like any dirt on it. And then I put my number as well. And then we go to the call room. Basically, in athletics, you go to a call room. It depends the time. For usually for sprints, you go like 20 minutes before, and for long jump, you go 50 minutes before. And that's where they call you, and they check your number. They check also that you're there, because then you can be disqualified if you come late to the call room. Then in the call room, you're with the other athletes from your category, so it's kind of like, it's like tense. There's like a lot of stress, you know. I'm usually not that stressed. I'm more stressed of excitement. I've only been stressed once in my life, in my first race ever in Switzerland, where really like I was shaking. I've never had that since, and I hope I will not. But yeah, I have more stress, excitement, a lot of adrenaline. I'm really good under pressure. I feel like I've learned that with experience, that I'm a really good person that works under pressure, and I'm really also always the happy one. I want to talk. I need to talk during the call room. Like I can't be just like sitting there, because that makes me more nervous. And after that, I just think, hey, you're just going to run. It's easy. I mean, it's not, but that's what I think. It's just running, right? So it should be easy, right? And I think also, it's short, right? 100 meters short, because when you're at the start, when you look down the stadium, you're always like, oh my God, that's so far. So it kind of like demotivates me. But then I just think, no, it's short. It's 100 meters. You've already done it before. Just run and give your best. And that's what I think before going to the race.
Are y'all sizing each other up? Like you're all in the call room together. You're all competing in the same race right before.
Yeah.
Are people
talking?
Talking? Are they sizing each other up? Are they, trying to shake each other? Are you sticking to them? You're like, what?
It depends.
What's the mood in that?
It depends which competition. If it's like a small competition, no, we're just talking like chill, whatever. How you doing and stuff. I think something that's also really interesting in the Paralympic world is what I always say is there's a sense of community. In the Olympics, there's also the sense of community, but in the Paralympics, we've all have a story to tell. We all lived something that's not really happy sometimes, and that can be cancer, that can be a medical issue, that can be an accident. So we all have those stories where we can relate, I mean, for me, when I first started and my first race, I've never seen another girl my age with an amputation. So for me, that was crazy. I was always the black sheep in class, so that for me was also something I think that helped me to accept my disability and help me also love the Paralympic world and be accepted also in this world, because I'm like, that's where I belong. I find that always funny is because when my trainer or my parents come to competitions, they're like, I feel weird because there's more disability people than able-bodied people. So they're like, I'm the black sheep. And that I find so funny because that's the first time they feel how I feel every day, So yeah, for me, and the call room, it depends which competition. I think for the Paralympics, they weren't really talking. I remember like I was the only one talking, but I didn't talk that much because I didn't want to disturb them. There's also this sense of fairness. But no, I've never seen what you say, like size up. No, not really. There's more like, how you doing? Or we just like don't talk.
What you said about kind of for the first time being your parents feeling like they're the odd ones out.
Or the coach. The coach
or the coach being the odd one out because they're able-bodied. I felt that. I've gone to goalball events, which is the blind sport I play, and you've got dozens of guide dogs and people walking around with canes, and then you've got these sighted referees and people in the crowd
what?
Like, holy Lord, I've
never
seen so many blind people in a room before. And it's wild to kind of feel at home or feel like,
of course,
like you say, you're not the black sheep, you're not the odd one out. And it's
a weird feeling.
It's a weird feeling because walking around the rest of society every single day, going to the store, whatever it might be, getting on the bus, you're usually the only one with the amputee or the only one with X disability. Mm-hmm. And so I imagine when you found that was a really good experience.
Oh, wow, yeah. For me, I remember, I think the World Championships, that's where I really felt it. Oh, wow. Like, I felt confident. Like, I walked like a queen. I literally walked like, oh, wow. Like, I'm not weird. I'm not the unnormal one. I'm not the different one. You guys are. And at the Paralympics, I also really felt that like, oh, wow, that was like a cool, I don't know, it was a cool like place to be. Like we belonged there. We were the ones running the place. We were all like athletes. And I remember it's like the staff from the national Swiss team, like they were the different ones. So that was really funny to like experience. And even from them, like my physio there at the Paralympics, I was really close to her. I'm still close to her nowadays, or even my coach. It was really funny because like, yeah, I don't know. It was like a weird picture that I would have never thought I would have seen in my life.
Yeah, and so now we're in early 2024.
Yeah.
Paris is a few months away.
Exactly.
What's the goal? What's Sofia, the Paralympic athlete's goal going into 2024? What are you looking at?
I mean, first of all, being qualified. That's the hardest part, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, it's going to be tough, I'm not going to lie, and that's something I'm prepared for as well. Because there is like a lot in the game. There's also like not a lot of places because per country you have places. So for example, for the US, you have more places because you're a bigger country. And for Switzerland, there's less, which is okay because there's a smaller country, but then you have to fight for a place. And then there's a lot of things that are out of your control. I mean, it's Switzerland who has to call to like select you. So I can do anything. I can train as much as I want. And at the end of the day, it's not my choice. Like, I will fight until the end. But sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. And that's okay because I've made peace also with that. I think in the career of an athlete, it's not always highs. There's also lows. There's also middles. And that's also something I've accepted. And I feel like there's going to be more championships. There's going to be more European championships. There's going to be more world championships. There's going to be LA 2028, even maybe Australia in the 4 years after. But yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully, the first objective is 2024 is the World Championships in Japan. And then we'll see for Paris.
And so for your competitions, do you have to go to World Championships to qualify for Paris?
Not specifically, but it helps.
I see.
Yep.
So, all that's coming up real soon. Are you in full-blown training mode right now?
Yes, I am.
You feeling the nerves at all, or is it you feel the pressure?
A little bit. I'm not. Yeah, since January, I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of pressure. But I have friends, I have family who support me. So yeah, I hope I'll get through it.
And absolutely. So you kind of say that the career of an athlete is kind of up and down, but the career of an athlete's also limited.
Yeah.
It's not something you compete in until you're 70 years old.
Exactly.
And you're here doing your bachelor's in media.
Mm-hmm.
What's kind of 10 years down the road Sofia look like? What's the goal? What's the career path you're looking towards?
The goal probably is a medal. That's. I mean, I've won my first big medal in 2021 before Tokyo at the European Championships in Poland. I got the bronze medal, third place, for the 100-meter sprint, and I was really proud of me. But I'm not done yet. So that's my first big medal, but I want more. I want maybe a World Championship one. Maybe the dream is, of course, Paralympic gold or Paralympic medal. But hey, yeah, I still have a lot to prove. I still have a lot of a road before me, a lot of time as well, because I'm still young, so I'm able to be there and say, hey, I still have LA.
Sure.
I still have other competitions. And also what's really important for me, and I think that's the main message I want to say on this podcast, is sport is really important. And for anyone out there, I think it's something that everyone should try at least once in their life, and have a physical activity would help them mentally and physically. And for me, I think if I don't have joy in doing athletics and 100 meters sprinting, long jump, I wouldn't have done it, and I wouldn't have continued. So until I have joy and pleasure and it brings me happiness, I will continue doing it.
Absolutely. And that's a great message really for anyone, whether you're able-bodied or not.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you find that there's awareness, maybe in Switzerland, I know what it's like in the U.S., but between the Olympics, the Paralympics, and the Special Olympics?
Yeah.
Those are three very different things.
Yes.
And is there good education around them?
I would say yes and no. It's getting better, but we're not as far as the UK or the US because, of course, you're bigger countries, but we're getting there. I think I'm a big part of it in the sense of doing those motivational speeches. I go to schools, I go to like companies, to events where I'm trying to show, hey, there is Paralympic athletes in Switzerland. We're here. We're present. We're live. I mean, something that I was really proud of is at the Paralympics in Tokyo, the Paralympic team from Switzerland won more medals than the Olympic Swiss team. and then they didn't talk about it on the news, and I was really sad. I made emails. I was like, this is unacceptable. Like,
How does that change?
there's a lot of work, a lot of awareness.
question.
Yeah, I think I'm trying with my social media, with what I'm doing here in London, with trying just to talk. I think talking, bringing awareness is the thing that you can make the most. And going to those big events, I mean, going to Paris, going to Tokyo is also what brings light to us and shows, hey, there is the Paralympics that are here as well. There's not only Olympics. So yeah.
What's the goal outside of athletics? You know, you're doing your bachelor's. What would you like to do outside of athletics? What's the goal?
I mean, I would like to work in the media or communication side, even marketing maybe. But I'm not sure yet. I mean, I'm open to anything. I really like my bachelor, and I really like talking. That's something that I really enjoy, and sharing my story or being creative is also something I'm really trying to push, or even be maybe in the sports side of communication and try to push people with differences or disability more in the media is something that I'm really like passionate about. So yeah, maybe with a sports brand or any other brand I'm open to. I mean, yeah.
What is the message? What do you say to people that, you know, have a disability but are more, not necessarily hidden away, but don't have that comfortability to go out there and, you know, push disability sports or push disability activism and are kind of, you know, what's the message to people? How do you get people motivated that aren't necessarily a room full of, you know, electrical company or a school you're speaking to, but, you know, if you're talking directly to, you know, almost yourself at 7 years old?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy. That's what I would say to them. And it's going to be a long, long road, a long path where there's going to be ups and downs. And I think the most important part is to believe in yourself. I know it's hard. I know it's cheesy, but that's what at the end like made it work for me. And also, if you have a good environment, a good system that supports you. I mean, for me, it was my parents and my little sister. If they believe in you, then you're going to believe in yourself. And that's also what you're going to show to the world. I mean, I see it every day. If I believe in myself and accept my disability, and then people are going to accept it as well. But if you hide it, people are going to be like, oh, what is that, you know? So yeah, it's really important for me to just say, you're going to be okay. I know it's maybe hard now, but that's what I would say to my 7-year. It's going to be okay. I swear it's going to be okay. But you're going to get happy. It's going to be okay. I know it's tough, but yeah, I think just be yourself and believe in yourself.
Are there any common misconceptions that people have about having a prosthetic leg that you wouldn't necessarily think of?
I would say probably that we can't do anything, that we're like fragile beings. And so I always say I can do anything. Like when people ask me, can you do that? I'm like, yeah, I can do anything. And then they don't ask me again. Or that, I don't know, that maybe like we can't go into water. That's also something people ask me, but we have like a special prosthetic for that.
Really?
I surf in summer. I mean, I come from a background where my dad is Mexican and my mom is half Swiss and half Spanish. So we go to summers in Spain or Mexico. And then like, I really like to go surfing. I do horse riding, I do tennis, I do skiing. So nothing is impossible. I can do anything.
So you say you have a different prosthetic leg for
water.
For water.
Yeah.
How many different prosthetic legs do you have on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, only one or two, because one is like every day and then like my sports one.
Mm-hmm.
But then like if there's like a special thing, like a special occasion or water or for summer, then I have my summer one, like the water one.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one also for special occasion, like if I want to wear a dress with high heels. That's also something that's maybe would shock people. But I have like a foot and like a prosthetic leg for heels when I wear heels, yeah. And yeah, so those are like the different adaptations and challenges that I have to overcome, and because of my prosthetic legs I can do anything.
Is it expensive to, you know, keep all the different prosthetic legs and maintain them? And, you know, I know you were saying with the blade one you have to charge it, right?
No, it's not the blade. The blade is a sports one. That's the mechanical one. That's all my body. So it's all the muscles. That's why like the misconception is also that like
I'm part of the problem.
No, it's fine. No, it's you're asking questions. That's good. Is that like they think that we run faster than able bodies, but that's not true. It's been proven. You look at the times. Maybe you run as fast, but we don't run faster. Like, it's gonna help us at some point, but it's never gonna like help us more. Maybe one day. I don't know. That's a really big conversation maybe for another time. But no, that's my mechanical leg. So I have to really like train my whole body so I can be able to have that power to able to run with that leg. And then there is my everyday leg where that's electronic.
How long does it take to get accustomed to the new leg?
A long time, usually like 6 months.
Really?
Yeah, because it's custom made and there's a lot of process into it. You have to test it. You have to see if it fits you, if it doesn't hurt, stuff like that.
Is that a grueling process? Does it take going to therapy, like sports or physical therapy for that, or
no? That's
on your
only
own time?
the basically the orthopedist that does your prosthetic leg. So it's not like physio. That's something else.
And so it's just on you to kind of get accustomed to it.
Yeah, basically.
Is that hard?
At the beginning, yes, especially like when I was a child, because I remember my mom like had to ask me a lot of questions, and you know, you're a child, so you don't know, like, oh, does it hurt here? But I didn't respond, and then she would always tell me this story when I got home. I will always say, oh, it hurts here, and she's like, why didn't you tell it before? So we had to go back, so a lot of appointments. But now, like, I'm an adult, so I know when it hurts, I know when it doesn't work for me, so I'm really good at saying, hey, that doesn't work, and then we adapt.
I feel like that kind of falls into advocating for yourself, and that kind of comes with time and knowing when to speak up for yourself.
Yeah, and knowing what you want as well. That's really important.
Absolutely. Well, Sophia, again, to pull back the curtain, this is the second time we did this.
Yes.
So this
we had some technical issues.
The blind man didn't hit record.
No, it's fine. It was also my fault.
So I really appreciate you're natural. Thank you for doing
you.
this. Thank you for doing it a second time. And thank you so much for doing this and sharing your story.
And that's it for the first episode of Taking Off the Shades, and we're now officially launched on all your podcasting platforms and YouTube. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Sophia. And like I said at the intro, this has been a long time coming for me. This has been an absolute dream for many, many years, over a decade, and this is something I really wanted to develop. And thanks to City and everything I've learned over the past year, it's really become a reality. And so now we're out there, we're public facing, and this has now gone from an idea in a pub to an actual podcast in your feed. I'm incredibly proud of myself, and I'm incredibly grateful to all the people who have helped me get this off the ground, whether it's friends, family, people here at City, the tech team especially, people who have helped me edit the video, the audio, the graphics, everything, Acast, all the support they've given me. It's been an absolute joy to work with all these people, and I appreciate them so much helping me get this off the ground and really start to live my dream of having this podcast. And I'm extremely excited about the future and where Taking Off the Shades is going to go next. So next episode will be out in a few weeks. I hope you tune in. I hope you follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcast, as Taking Off the Shades is now officially launched. Thank you for watching.